Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Today I'm looking at Isonzo again, but I'm looking at things that I missed out on my first sort of thoughts of the game. So I did like an initial video a few weeks back when the game was first announced, and I looked at the trailer, I looked at the gameplay, and I read about the new features online. So I talked about all that stuff there. Links in the description, I think, for that if you want to watch that and you haven't seen it. So this is going to be, I'm just going to be talking about more other things that I missed out in that video basically today. So the first thing I'm going to look at is something I've touched on plenty of times in live streams and videos, but I didn't really go into detail in this Isonzo video, is the issues with the previous game. So for example, Verdun and Tannenberg, and one of the primary examples of a really big issue is all the bugs. And for example, the black screen bug was a fucking nightmare, and it still is. It still hasn't been fixed, although I have deleted the game and reinstalled it recently on my PlayStation 4, and it seems to be working better, but I'm not sure entirely because I haven't put too many hours in. But the amount of bugs we had at the beginning with Verdun was insane, and it was absolutely unbearable for a lot of people. So yeah, I think in the first weekend when Verdun came out, we had 20,000 players or something. It was a decent, which was, you know, maybe it was less, maybe it was more, I can't quite remember, but it was a really decent amount. And those players like dropped off within 6 months, maybe less. And then Verdun went through a stage for like 3 years or 2 years where there was so at its lowest point there was like 2 players on a night or something. It was terrible, and it's because it was filled with bugs. But then the update came and we got a lot of fixes, although it did bring some more bugs on as well, and it pissed a lot of people off. and then Tannenberg came out, and we've seen with Tannenberg seems glitchy. There's a bug in Tannenberg where people start sort of, the frames drop for whatever reason, and people sort of lag around the map and glitch around the map, and that can happen. That, I don't know if that just happens to an individual player or it happens to everyone on the game, but from what I can see is on the mini map, every single player seems to be lagging about. So maybe it affects every player and it makes the game almost impossible, and it's really frustrating. So a lot of these things haven't been fixed either. And then that big update that happened on Verdun, that took so long. It took like 3 years, maybe 4 years for it to come out, and I'm not sure it's because did they give up on the console version of the game. I'm really not sure, but that actually brings me on to a different point, is that I feel like WW1 Game Series is very much PC orientated, and obviously it did originate on PC, which is fair enough, but if you open your market to console, you then have to give them the same treatment as you do the PC players, and I feel like PC guys have a much smoother experience than the console players, which isn't fair. So what I hope to see is, in the light of Isonzo, I hope to see actually some updates on Verdun and Tannenberg, and some bug fixes in general. I think it's only fair, and I understand it's only a small studio, the guys who make the WW1 Game Series guys, but at the end of the day, if we're paying our money, we expect this product to be good. Now, Verdun and Tannenberg, in my opinion, is still better than £50 games or £60 games like Battlefield, where you're spending so much money to get this product that's absolutely rancid. That the movement shit, the game glitches. You've only got like 4 maps or something to play with. A complete waste of money. Now, I don't think Verdun and Tannenberg are a waste of money, but still, if I'm paying £30 for example, or £20 for this game, I expect it to be in at least a decent state for me to play it, and I think it's a really important thing. And if it's not, if these games don't improve, if Verdun doesn't get a fix and Tannenberg doesn't get a fix, I think they're going to struggle with Isonzo on console, because I know a lot of people are already done with this game, as it is because of bugs and stuff. So it's definitely something they need to look at, and it's definitely something to consider before buying Isonzo. Now, the second thing I want to consider, and I hope the devs consider this, is sort of the player base and how they sort of split it by releasing 3 different games instead of releasing one base game and then adding different things on. Now, someone mentioned this, someone gave me this idea, and I can't remember who it was, so I apologise for that, but it's an amazing idea. So instead of having Verdun as a single release, Tannenberg as a single release, and Isonzo as a single release, integrate them all into one game. And what you can do, and we know devs can do this, because I think there was, you can take the games off the market and you can refund people and then bring this new game out, and if you've already paid for it, you should be okay, if that makes sense. So it shouldn't be much of an issue to try and implement this, I don't think. But what the problem is at the minute, right, is we've got, as I say, we've got Tannenberg and Verdun, and so while you might get a really decent amount of players on Verdun, you'll get no one on Tannenberg. and vice versa sometimes. And the problem is, you know, some people don't want to buy two different games. Some people can't afford it. So, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass going on one game and then switching to another. And sometimes you don't have that game installed or anything, so it completely splits the player base. Now, if you had Verdun and you had Tannenberg as part of that game, and you have some little option in the menu to click onto that, that would be perfect, and you wouldn't have this splitting of the player base. Because again, people aren't going to buy this game if it's got no players, and I think this is one of the issues that is contributing to such a lack of players in both games, is because it's not one game amalgamated into, you know, as I say, into one game. So definitely something they should look at, and hopefully they do. Alright, so the final thing is that, my final thought is that they're going to have to up this game massively compared to the last two games. This has to be their best work yet in regards to maps, gameplay, different sort of functions, because now what they've got competition from Enlisted and Beyond the Wire in particular. So obviously Beyond the Wire is another World War I shooter. It looks pretty good. It's PC only at the minute. I haven't played it myself, but from what I can tell, the graphics are amazing, and it seems very realistic. It seems quite gritty as well, and they've done well. It looks, in some respects, it looks like an updated version of Verdun. But it's definitely worth a look if you haven't seen it already, and that gives them a bit of competition, which is what we need. Because it just all it means is they have to up the game, because they know they're going to lose players to those games if they don't up their game. So hopefully we're going to see that from the devs, and obviously Enlisted, as I say. That's like sort of the console competition, because people seem to really enjoy that. And I believe I've heard Enlisted is free as well, so that's going to take players away from Verdun and Tannenberg and Isonzo if they're not careful. So it's definitely a thing to consider, and that, obviously it's a positive that the more games the merrier as far as I'm concerned. It means devs have to work harder to produce a better product. As usual, it's always good to hear what you guys think in the comments. I reply to most of them, and I think I should mention actually as well is I think I'm going to get this game. If it comes out for PS4, I'll definitely get the game, and I'll give you a fair review as well. I'm not going to fuck around and say it's good if it's shit. I'll definitely be reviewing Isonzo at some point. So if you're concerned about getting it and you're not sure, maybe wait till I've put a review out when I'll be honest with it, and I'm not gonna mess around if I'm paying money for it. So yeah, hang around for that. And finally, I'm very busy at the minute as well, so there hasn't been like too many live streams or videos. I'm just extremely busy with work and things, more busy than I thought I would be. So apologies for that. Thanks very much. Cheers.